Okay, so we're actually going to start in a straight leg position today. We won't start in a cross leg position. If you need to sit on a block, lifts up the hips. So if you are quite tight in the hamstrings and sitting kind of with a straight back is a little bit tough, either bend your knees and tilt your tailbone, keep your spine straight, or sit on a block. That can help take some of the stretch out as well to keep everything nice and straight. What I want you to focus on here is drawing your toes back towards you. Now, as you do that, just feel, I'll show you from the side, what the upper body does. Now, as you draw your toes back, do you find that you start to kind of slouch? If so, feel these upper quads in your hip flexors. See if you can activate them. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to tilt your tailbone, and you're doing that by activating your hip flexors. So activate your hip flexors and see if you can draw yourself up. Draw your toes back. It's quite an active stretch, an active posture. In yoga we call this dandasana, which translates as staff pose. And this is what they call a samastiti. It's a base posture. This posture extends into many others. If you're ever tired, or if you ever just need to regain your focus and your breath, you come back to the samastiti, you come back to the base. So dandasana, tadasana, mountain pose. These are really strong bases in yoga where you can come back, reconnect, realign, reestablish your breath, and just kind of reset. So we're going to spend a little bit of time exploring dandasana. You can allow your eyes to close if you wish. You may find these start to get your hip flexors might get a little bit shaky. You may find that you start to extend back. That's fine. Take a little rest if you need, and then come back into that straight version. Now I want you to just observe your body. Where is the weight? You know, that sounds pretty obvious, right? It's in my legs and my bum. But tune in. Whereabouts in your legs? Whereabouts in the bum? Where do you feel it? Right now I'm feeling like my right side is carrying a little bit more kind of pressure, like I'm slightly leaning. So I'm going to untuck the cheeks a little bit. Or I'm going to make a little adjustment. What I'm trying to do is finding a nice even kind of distribution of weight from heel to glutes, from left to right, from front to back. Now I say front to back, obviously the weight's going to be under our torso, but as you lengthen, you're going to feel more pressure going through the heels. Okay, so if you're falling back, the heels almost want to lift. So you want to feel anchored from all kind of 4 points. And take your time. If you're tuning into this subtle movement, it initially can feel quite weird, or it can feel quite strong. So just take your time, close your eyes, breathe. Now as you exhale into it, see if you can just feel yourself grounding into the seat, grounding into the posture. When you first get into it, when you first feel it, it can be quite tense or tight, where you're trying to mold your body to this position. Well, the more you tune in, the more you're exhaling, the more you kind of, it's almost like the tide goes out and reveals the pose. You feel like, okay, I feel secure. I feel where the weight is. I feel the positioning. I can feel where the tightness is. And don't worry if that's not the case. Okay, perfect. Yeah. What I want you to do is lift your arms up straight in front. Keeping that nice straight back, so activate the hip flexors, chest comes up, right, straight back. And exhale, reach forward, feel that stretch down the back of the hamstrings, and inhale back. Keep the chest proud, exhale forward, inhale back. Keep that going with the exhale. So if the length of the breath is long, take a long time to find that stretch. If your inhale is long, fine. If you're a little bit more shallow or even just a little quicker and just want to feel a little bit more rhythmic in this, then just speed up the movement. It's absolutely fine. What may be helpful, if it is a little bit too strong in the hamstrings, maybe in the calves or back of the ankles and the Achilles, slight bend, tilt the tailbone, exhale, and inhale over, okay? But we're really focusing on the hamstrings today and potentially the lower back as well. They're kind of, well, they're really connected in this posture. So. And talking about what I mentioned on Monday is the way the brain likes to work, especially with mobility and flexibility, is if you give it a task to do, it will try and achieve that task. So let's say your task is to tap your little finger to your toes. Okay, cool. Right. What about the next knuckle down? And then what about the knuckles of the hand? Right. And then just slowly, centimeter by centimeter, work down until you get to a point you can't explore anymore. Then you know if your flexibility is increasing. So Tara, you've got your hands over your feet here. One task for you then is like, well, if you leant forward, where do the toes tap on the forearm? Like, can you start to bring it to the middle of your forearm? Can you start to bring it to even your elbow, depending on your level of flexibility? Okay. So with the breath, slowly back and forth, or quickly, depending on your breath. But using your hip flexors, that's important. As you come over, activate your hip flexors. Squeeze the belly to the thigh. Okay, keep this going. I said we're going to repeat one movement quite a few times. So really flossing the movement, flossing the muscle, flossing the connective tissue, flossing the nerves. You find the more you do this, the more open you become. So keep this going 3 more times. And last one. And we're going to hold. Straight arms, reach with the fingers. Don't hold the toes. Point with the fingers. Point, point, point. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And release. Beautiful. Okay, take a little rest. It gets quite hot, doesn't it? Now, to elaborate on the point I've just made, does everybody have a block? You don't need a block. You can have a book. You can have a cushion. You can have, so you can have a plant, but don't use a plant. Books, anything basically we can put on our thighs underneath our belly. Yep. Cool. What I want you to do, flex the toes. I want you to bring your belly over and see if you can feel the block underneath. Can you feel the belly and the quads pushing on the top and bottom of the block? That's what we want. Right, so what we want here is we want to see if we can squash the block. So as you may bring it right close to the belly button to start with, like up the leg. So as you come over, it's quite obvious it's there. Yeah. As you get more flexible, you'll move the block further down your legs. There, I can't quite touch it, but here I can. So I'm around about here with my block, but you may be all the way close to your belly button. So what I want you to do here is, whether you've got a block, whether you've got a book, whatever it is, make sure that as you fold, you can feel yourself compressing it. Yeah? Okay. Ace. From this position, what we're going to do is we're going to lean over, and for 5 deep breaths, we're going to see if we can reach with the hands, and we're going to try and squash the block. We're going to activate our belly to push on the top of the block. We're going to activate our hip flexors to squash the bottom of the block, okay, whilst you're leaning forward. Okay, inhale and exhale. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. 2 more times, and exhale. Breathe in, and last one, exhale, and inhale all the way up. Exhale, release the block, and come back into the same position and pretend you're trying to squeeze the block again. Activate the belly, lift up into the hip flexors, but there's no block this time. You're just going to pull yourself deeper into your fold. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Last breath. And exhale, lift all the way up. Nicely done. I want you to take this principle into our next postures. The act of squashing the top and squashing the bottom. Really good for standing forward folds and the next posture we're coming into. Okay, so we should be feeling quite loose in our hamstrings now. So what we're going to do is move ourselves around into a kneeling position. And I just want you to take a moment in all fours position, 5 deep breaths, just feeling into the lower back, feeling into the legs. Very good. Now tucking the toes underneath the heels. We're going to lift up into a bent leg downward facing dog. Tilt the tailbone, push back with our hands. So we're pushing the hips up towards the ceiling. We create a nice straight line from the hands, shoulders to the tailbone, and then we extend through the heels. And what I want you to do is just keep that tailbone tilted and extend the heels up and down. Keep the nice straight line from the palm through the shoulder into the hips. Don't push down through your thoracic spine. We're not trying to create a U shape. We're trying to keep it nice and straight. If you find that as you get close to straightening your legs, your lower back rounds, or you lift out the posture, just straighten your legs until you feel them get tight or shake. You'll feel them do a little bit of this. They'll start shaking and then just bend. Okay, so that's coming into your end range. So whether you can get your heels to the floor or not, it's not a problem. I'm just going to work this 3 more times. And last time here. Perfect. And now keeping the legs straight if possible, walk feet up towards the hands. Lovely. So all we're in here is just Dandasana, but instead of sitting on our bum, we're on our feet. We've just rotated round like a Tetris block. So we've just moved around. So same principle. What I want you to do is reach your hands towards the floor, and I want you to squeeze the hip flexors in your belly like you're squashing your block, and we're going to reach towards the floor. So if you can touch the floor, what I want you to do is find a part that can't. So for instance, myself, it's the palms. If I want to touch my palms, I have to activate my quads and my core. You may find that You can get your palms to the floor. If you can, I'll show you something in a minute. But what we're going to do is we're just going to pulse. We're going to try and squeeze and get to that end range. So if you can touch your palms and you need to go a bit further, you can reach behind the body. And you're just trying to reach away. So you squeeze your hip flexors, you squeeze your core so that you're kind of pulsing up and down. Right, so we're just going to follow the breath with this. 1. So imagine you're squeezing that block. Use your hip flexors, use your core. Okay, and last one. And hold. Take the hands either behind your ankles, behind the knees. Pressure against the knees and the hands to draw you deeper into your fold. Breathe in. And release. Lengthen the spine, draw the hands up towards the shins, straighten the spine. Keep your gaze down towards your mat. Okay, keeping the hips where they are, look to your right. And then look to your left. Inhale. This time exhale, take your left hand and wrap it around your right ankle. And see if you get a bit of a different stretch down the bottom, kind of bottom left hand side of your back. Gonna hold there for 5 deep breaths. If you want to pull yourself for deeper, listen to your body and go as far as you need. Make sure the movement's coming from your lower back and that you're not twisting with your knees. So your knees should be in line. If you find that they're moving around like that, then the movement's not coming from the right place. Deep breath in. Exhale round, right hand to left ankle. And inhale, lift all the way up to a nice standing position. Okay, very good, nice. Now, what we're going to do is just get a little bit of a dynamic movement to the legs and lower back, and then we'll come into our final deep stretch. So I just want you to slowly just create some movement to the hip, knee, and ankle. Very good. And opposite side. Okay, perfect. Okay. Take the legs, hips width apart. Just going to stretch around the hips. Now, because we've been activating the hip flexor quite a lot, you might feel this as you get close into this kind of movement. You may not. Okay, very good. And then just give the legs a bit of a shake up. You may or may not need a block for this. So I'm going to show you both variations. We're going to first of all stand with our feet facing forward. We're going to take our left foot forward and our right just underneath. We're going to tilt the tailbone. We're going to bring your chest forward and you're going to feel that first hamstring start to tighten. Okay. Now coming back to the position before, where we can bring our hands to the floor, find a part of the body that can't touch. It might be the hands, might be the palms. If you have a block, you could even get your elbows out and try and touch your elbow onto a block. So really, you're just trying to look a little bit beyond your end range and then lift up. Okay. So same again, I'm going to activate this front quad, activate your belly, and we're going to do it in a range of pulses. So use your muscles to take you into that end range for a second and then come out. You don't want to do this really quickly. This isn't something like really rapid like this. You want it nice, controlled with your breath. Like push in and out, push in and out, push in and out. Okay. So, some of you may find that actually your hamstrings are really open and you want to put your front leg, you want to raise your toes. When you bring this back, you're going to find that your hamstrings get shorter a lot quicker. So here I'm feeling the hamstring lengthen, and then when I press down I can see the difference. You know, I'm barely getting to my palm, whereas when that's here quite comfortably, right? So this is one way you can take yourself deeper. So find whatever variation works for you. I'm going to take 10 deep breaths on each side. Whenever you're ready, we're going to move into that posture, tilt the tailbone, lower back nice and straight, and then we're going to work into it with our breath. So breathe. And this last one, hold. And release all the way back up. Perfect. Okay, you'll most likely have a bit of imbalance on both sides. One will be a little bit more open, shall we say, than the other. Really normal. So whenever you're going into the opposite side, don't go in with the same vigor as you finished the last side. Build up to it and give it its own kind of practice, as it were. So find your variation, tilt the tailbone, keep that spine nice and straight. I can see this one on me is much tighter. I can feel it as well. So breathe. And then hold. And inhale, lift all the way up. Lovely. Okay, a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of a shake off. Okay, what might be nice here, just as a bit of a recovery stretch, or even just to catch the breath if it's quickened a little bit, is just come back into your normal forward fold. You can take the hands to the shins if you need, or you can just let everything hang. Okay, and just let a bit of support go onto the floor as well, and breathe. Okay, when you're ready, join me back into standing position. Cool. Okay, so we're going to do that last stretch one more time, and then we'll have a bit of a counter stretch just to balance out the quads a little bit before moving into Shavasana. So start off on the side you started on. The setup is important. Okay, so step onto the block, hips level, so don't let them twist. Tilt the tailbone. It's the tilting, you're going to feel that hamstring lengthen. So if you keep a neutral spine and then just bend over, you're going to find that the lower back rounds. You want to tilt that spine to really take yourself deeper into the stretch. Okay, inhale, and let's go exhale. And hold. And inhale, lift. Straight to the opposite side. Set yourself up. Inhale, tilt, exhale, and away we go. and hold. And inhale to lift back up with control. Beautiful. Okay, to the front of your mat. Forward fold, tuck the tailbone, everything over, straight back, relax everything, bend the legs, right knee back. Make sure that there's some support under your mat. Deep breath in, and as you exhale, we're just going to drop into that front hip. Okay, keep the hips still. This time I'm going to tuck underneath. So rather than tilting, let's see if we can tuck underneath and just let that hip drop down. Been working those hip flexors quite a lot today, especially with the activations. So you may feel this quite a bit in the stretch. Okay, and then exhale, press back, straighten that front leg, fully fold over, and back we go over. I'm just going to floss back and forward here. A little bit of movement into the hip joint. And then over we go. Press the hands into the floor, tuck the toes, and that left foot back. Downward facing dog. Your downward facing dog should feel nice and open now that you're really stretched out through the hamstrings. Okay, push forward on the toes. Right foot comes up, drop the left foot down, drop the left knee, and just as before, drop into that left hip flexor, drop into the hips, use your breath. Very good. Okay, pressing all the way back. Over we go, back into the hips. Perfect, drop the hands, tuck the toes, right foot back, downward facing dog. Push forward on the toes, rolling over, upward facing dog. Press the bum, squeeze the bum, press the toes into the mat. Press into the hands, draw your chest forward. From here, exhale, tilt the tailbone into a wide child's pose and stretch through the hands. Let the forehead melt towards the mat. And inhale, lifting up. Bring the knees back in line. And you know what? In a way that just feels good for you. Bring yourself to a laying down position. No fluff, no bells, no whistles. Bring yourself into Shavasana. And I want you to take a nice big breath. And when you breathe in, feel the body fully expand from your toes to your head to your hands, like fully. Everything expands. Hold that breath. And exhale completely through the mouth. One more time, fully inhale. Hold. This time, slowly exhale through the nose, and as you exhale, just feel every ounce of effort just relaxing. Feel every part of your body melting as you come into a deep, deep Shavasana instantaneously. As if you've always been here. Complete surrender. Just enjoy how your body feels. The openness. The internal movements. That sense of deep relaxation deep within your joints. And on your next inhale, bring your arms above your head and your feet together. I want you to see if you can stretch your fingers to your toes. Just feel your body being fully extended. And on the next exhale, see if you can activate your core nice and strongly and bring your hands all the way to your toes. Touch your toes. Take your hands over your soles of your feet and hold. 2 more breaths, inhale. And exhale completely. And lift back into your seat. Good. We'll finish today's class there. Well done, everybody. Namaste. It was lovely practicing with you this evening.